Good afternoon. Welcome to Eretz Israel. My name is Avraham Shira, and we have a little Shabbos insight that I think could really help us see how one creation really is. Rabbi Nachman talks about the union of God and the Shekhinah, which of course are reflected as the masculine and the feminine forms of the divine, the transcendent and the immanent, the far away and the very close, the accessible and the seemingly inaccessible. And then on Shabbat, the masculine, Kadosh Baruch Hu, the emanator, Kiviyachol, lifts up creation, and then there's a unification that takes place between the Shekhinah, the indwelling presence of God in this world. And amazingly, listen to this closely, Rabbi Nachman says that when this unification takes place between Hashem and the Shekhinah is called a little star, a Kochava Zuta, a little star. A little star is born, is emanated, when there's this union of the masculine and the feminine of creation. Now, what does that sound like to you? Think about it. A union of these massive cosmic forces comes together and a little star is born. What is that? It sounds like cosmic fusion to me. It sounds like creation returning to its beginning, before there was even the notion of a creation. In other words, there was only the creator, and even before the creator had made himself into Kiviyachol, a dual structure. And Rabbi Nachman says that this zivug, this union that takes place between Hashem and the creator, is in order that the souls of humanity are lifted, impregnated with new Torah insight, new cosmic, if you will, Torah consciousness, and then brought down. What does that sound like? You're getting new software. You're getting a download from heaven each time we elevate with the union that takes place on Shabbat. We receive from that pool of soul that is elevated from these two aspects of Hashem, the male and the female. So this paradigm of male-female, we see it all over the Kabbalah, and it's embedded in creation everywhere we look. And the ultimate time for that union to take place is Shabbat, after midnight, when the world is asleep, when the forces of creation have settled, and the forces of receiving creation have settled, and there's this time of peace where something new can be born. And the birth that takes place through our lower physical qualities also takes place in our upper intellectual qualities. So it is the most precious time of the week, Shabbat night after midnight. It is precious for man and woman. It is precious for humanity and Torah learning, for prayer and meditation. Prayer is a human being becoming masculine by giving over his power to the world, and meditation is a human being becoming feminine to receive the higher power into a lower vessel. So you see, every person has this capacity to be masculine, the mashpia, the one who gives over their life force to the world around them. And every person has this ability to be feminine, to receive that which is beyond and above, and incorporate it, integrate it, and channel it to become new creative life force in the world. So I think, when I first saw that the Shekhinah was called a little star when she's united with Hashem, what does it sound like? It's that impregnation, that powerful moment of the transfer of the infinite energy down into a vessel. And ultimately, the entire human race is designed to receive that. But, okay, there's 7.5 billion or so souls. It's a very slow process, right? But however, people talk about the messianic power and the messianic era and the messianic personality, and it's endless discussion, really. But what really happens in the process is internal. It's an internal transformation that changes the world. It doesn't matter how many wars we fight and how many times the good guys win and how many times the good guys win that election or this revolution. That never changes. Because that's a human energy, I want to say, sorry, it's motivated by human interest, okay? As opposed to the messianic unification that takes place after this process of the giant or the cosmic Shabbat is not between man and man, it's between man and creator. And when we receive that inner light, when we receive that impregnation of infinity into the finite vessel, evil falls away on its own. Evil implodes and disappears on its own. There is no a final jujitsu fight between heaven and earth. There is no cosmic boxing match that humanity has to win. It's an individual effort for each of us with our higher self, winning, defeating, so to speak, those lower impulses. When that happens, the lower impulses fall away, and suddenly we discover that we have that spark. We have that shining star within our hearts. And when you discover that, you realize, wow, I'm part of that. I'm a little piece of the giant paradigm. And a personal redemption takes place. And enough people have that moment of personal redemption, then it becomes a collective force. And that collective force transforms the energies around it and the people with them. And all of a sudden, people are getting it more and more and more. And this, I believe, is a more, I want to say palatable, a more realistic, down-to-earth way that the messianic spirit is spread into the world. I want to talk about wars, I want to talk about nuclear weapons, I want to talk about asteroids and all kinds of massive universal destruction. If that's the way it's going to go, there's really, all we can do is pray. Well, all we can do is pray anyways. So why not pray for our own transformation with Hashem and our relationship to that, as opposed to praying that the latest, what do they call it, the chaos of God asteroid is approaching Earth, and therefore we all got to dig into the ground and find a place to burrow down because of this asteroid. Sound like fear-mongering to you? Sound like somebody with another agenda? So let's put our prayers where they really work, where they really change something, where they make us into the people that we were created to be. And Shabbat is the time and the place and the energy field to achieve that. So I want to bless all of us with a little shift in consciousness about this whole messianic period that we're in. and to realize that it's not about man versus man. It's about man and himself and his creator. No matter where you fall on the spectrum of good and evil, religious or non-religious, every person has to look in the mirror and face within that maker, that divine Father that put us here. So God bless all of you. Have a great Shabbat. Have a time of rest and peace. Turn off the machines. Turn off all the external things. And let's go within where the real joy, the real revelation takes place. We'll see you next week on our daily Rabbi Nachman classes on Patreon, our YouTube channel, Insight Timer. We have live meditations happening. Well, they were live when they were recorded. I guess now they wouldn't be called live. And on Web Yeshiva, we'll be live on Thursday night, as well as the Lighthouse Torah Project from Miami on late Thursday night Israel time. And, you know, the sky's the limit, folks, and that's what we're bringing the sky down to earth. God bless you all. Shabbat Shalom.